Bethesda made one of the most underrated game in the gaming journey known as Prey. It is the story of a franchise that just refused to die, only to be put on ice right at the peak of its creative power. So, how did one of gaming's most innovative series just vanish? And more importantly, why does Bethesda need to bring it back? To really get the tragedy of Prey, we have to go all the way back to its chaotic, decade-long beginning. The first Prey, which came out in 2006, wasn't just another first-person shooter, it was basically a miracle. First thought up way back in 1995, the game spent 11 years in development hell, a limbo so long that entire console generations came and went. When Arkane Studios finally got it out the door, what players got was something genuinely ahead of its time. This wasn't just some game with a cool gun or a weird enemy. Prey was built on real, actual innovation. It introduced players to mind-bending portal mechanics and gravity-flipping pathways a full year before Valve's Portal made the whole concept famous. The gameplay was disorienting in the best way possible, as you found yourself walking on walls and ceilings, fighting through a giant, living alien ship called the Sphere. But it was bold in more than just its mechanics. At its heart was a story that, for its time, was revolutionary. You weren't playing as some generic space marine, you were Demesai Tommy Tawati, a Cherokee mechanic who gets abducted by aliens along with his grandfather and girlfriend. The game weaves Native American mythology and spirituality right into its sci-fi story. Tommy could spirit walk, leaving his body to solve puzzles and scout ahead. This wasn't a gimmick, it was a deeply personal story about identity and heritage themes you just didn't see in the shooterverse of the mid-2000s. Against all odds, the game was a hit. It sold well over 1 million copies and got great reviews, cementing its spot as a beloved cult classic. It was proof that sticking with an idea could pay off, and a clear sign that innovation was in this franchise's DNA. A sequel was announced almost right away, and it felt like the sky was the limit. But, in what would become a grim pattern for the series, its greatest promise was about to be broken. Prey 2, the game that never seen the daylight, really it just vanished into thin air. Well, the story of Prey 2 is one of modern gaming's great what-ifs. After the success of the original, Arkane Studios started working on a sequel that was, by all accounts, wildly ambitious. Announced in 2011, this wasn't going to be a direct follow-up to Tommy's journey. Instead, it was an open-world, sci-fi bounty hunter game set on a Blade Runner-style alien world. You played as U.S. Marshal Killian Samuels, the only survivor of that plane crash from the first game, now working as a gun for hire in a vertical alien city. The whole concept was electrifying. It promised total player freedom, parkour-style mobility, and a living, breathing alien world to get lost in. It looked like the exact kind of bold leap a franchise built on innovation deserved. And then, nothing. For years, Prey 2 just disappeared into a fog of rumors and corporate drama. Reports began to surface about a difficult relationship between Arkane and the new IP owner, Bethesda. Allegations from inside the industry suggested that Bethesda may have tried to acquire the studio to get its hands on their ID tech talent, and when Arkane said no, the relationship soured. For years, Bethesda just said the game was delayed because it wasn't meeting their quality standards. Then, in 2014, the axe finally fell. Bethesda officially confirmed Prey 2 was cancelled. The official reason was that the game wasn't shaping up to be what we wanted. But for a lot of fans, and even some of the developers who worked on it, the cancellation felt less like a quality issue and more like a messy, political decision. A project that, by many accounts, was deep in development and filled with incredible promise was just gone. It was the first real tragedy for the Prey franchise, a sign of its immense, and now painfully unrealized, potential. After the very public and messy cancellation of Prey 2, most of us just assumed the franchise was dead. But then, in 2016, Bethesda stunned everyone with a new announcement. The name was Prey, but the game was something completely different. Developed by Arkane Studios, the geniuses behind the Dishonored series, this wasn't a sequel or a remake. It was a total, ground-up reinvention. The reborn masterpiece. Released in 2017, Arkane's Prey is an absolute masterpiece of the immersive sim genre, a spiritual successor to classics like System Shock. You play as Morganu, a scientist aboard Talos I, a stunning Art Deco space station orbiting the moon in an alternate timeline where JFK survived his assassination and dumped money into the space program. The station has been overrun by a mysterious, shape-shifting alien species called the Typhon, and you have to figure out how to survive. What makes Prey so brilliant is how much it trusts the player. Talos I isn't just a series of levels, it's one giant, interconnected space you can explore however you want. Every problem has a bunch of different solutions, dictated by your own creativity, not by the script. Can't find the key card to a locked door? Fine. Hack the keypad, find a hidden vent, use the GLOO cannon to build yourself a ramp up to a window, or my personal favorite, use an alien power to literally turn into a coffee cup and roll through a tiny gap. The station itself is the main character here. Talos I is one of the most incredible settings in gaming history. Every office, every sticky note, every email tells a piece of the story, painting this haunting picture of the crew's life before it all went wrong. This environmental storytelling is paired with a psychological story that constantly makes you question who you are, what's real, and whether you can trust your own memories. The game creates this thick atmosphere of paranoia not with cheap jump scares, but through the genius of its signature enemy, the Mimic. This little creature can disguise itself as any random object, turning every coffee cup, trash can, and office chair into a potential heart attack. You are not the hunter, you are the prey. Critics loved it for its dense gameplay, amazing world building, and deep story. Prey 2017 was everything you could ever want from an immersive sim. Arkane had taken the name Prey and turned it into something new, something defined by intelligence, depth, and complete player freedom. By all accounts, Prey 2017 should have been the franchise's triumphant return. It was a critical darling that pushed its genre forward. And yet, it just wasn't a blockbuster. The game's sales were underwhelming, and the franchise once again went dormant. So, what went wrong? Well, it mostly came down to a catastrophic failure in marketing and branding. By sticking with the Prey name, Bethesda created a ton of confusion. Fans of the 2006 original were let down when they found out it had nothing to do with Tommy's story. And new players just saw a generic name that did nothing to communicate what the game actually was: a complex, psychological thriller. The name suggested a simple alien shooter, which it absolutely was not. To make things worse, Bethesda held back early review copies, a policy that at the time made a lot of people assume the worst about a game's quality. When the first few, more mixed reviews came out, they soured the game's launch buzz. The game's best marketing tool was its incredible, mind-bending opening hour, but the demo was released with almost no promotion and wasn't even available on PC, the home platform for the immersive sim audience. It really felt like a masterpiece was sent out into the world with a blindfold on. Its sales, while not a total bomb, were reportedly much lower than Arkane's previous game, Dishonored 2. For Bethesda, this perceived failure, on top of the messy history of Prey 2, likely made the franchise look like a cursed, risky investment. In an industry that's more and more focused on live services and billion-dollar hits, a brilliant, complex, single-player game that didn't smash sales records was simply left behind. For fans, it was the worst kind of pain. A truly special game, one of the best of its generation, was being ignored. So here we are, years later, with the franchise on ice once again. Arkane Austin, the studio that made the 2017 masterpiece, was tragically closed in 2024 after the troubled launch of Redfall. The future for Prey looks pretty bleak, but that's exactly why Bethesda needs to bring it back. The legacy of Prey, across both games, is a legacy of fearless innovation. The 2006 original pushed the limits of what a shooter could be. The 2017 reboot perfected the immersive sim, giving us a masterclass in world building and player freedom. This is a franchise that has always refused to play it safe. In a world full of safe bets and yearly sequels, the spirit of Prey is more important than ever. Let's be honest, Bethesda's reputation with its core single-player fans has taken a few hits in recent years. Reviving Prey, maybe under the guidance of Arkane Leon, the incredible studio behind Dishonored and Deathloop, would be a huge statement. It would show a real commitment to the kind of deep, smart, single-player games that built the company in the first place. A new Prey doesn't have to sell 20 million copies. It needs to be a banner for creative excellence, reminding us what Bethesda studios can do when they're at their best. The potential is just sitting there. A sequel could continue Morganu's story, diving into the seriously dark implications of that first game's ending. Or, it could just reinvent itself all over again. What matters is that the spirit of innovation, choice, and amazing storytelling is kept alive. Prey is so much more than a name. It's a promise. A promise of something new, something smart, something that respects your intelligence as a player. Its story is one of wasted potential, but it doesn't have to end there. The foundation is solid. The fanbase, even if it's small, is incredibly passionate. Bethesda is sitting on a masterpiece, a franchise that represents the very best of what video games can be. It's time to stop treating it like a curse and see it for what it is, a singular, brilliant part of gaming history that deserves another shot at the future.
Ach, yesterday we had two, now I can't find one.
We've only ever had one.
Nonsense.
I guess you forgot.
You're leaving?
I thought we were done.
No, just turn it off then.
I feel like you're upset with me.
No, I suppose it's late after all. Go, sleep.
What about you?
What about me? Yeah, don't concern yourself. I'll finish.
Right. I guess I'll see you later then.
Yeah, you guess.
What?
You're always saying, I guess. That worked, I guess. I'll see you later, I guess. You're a scientist. Stop guessing. No! Or be quiet. Yeah, that's all.
Good night, Dr. Calvino.
Ja rampiskatole.
If you like the video, subscribe to the channel and help us grow.